Well, I apologize for the delay, but thank you all for coming this evening. This is our first guest lecture series of the year, so sounds like it's going to be a great one. Quick announcement real quick. We have our Think Pink fundraiser coming up, so start looking for the flyers. There's going to be jars posted around campus. So we've got 20 great ladies and joining us in an effort to promote breast cancer awareness. So look out for those, and it should be a fun event. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Tim Stillman. I'm your Delta Mu Delta president. And let's go ahead and get started since we ran a little late. I'm going to introduce my vice president, Ben Hammer, and he will do the introductions for our guest speaker.
All right. First of all, thank you for coming. I will not talk too much about the speaker. Most of you people know that I coach football here at the school, and Max actually was one of my players back in Germany. I was kind of in touch with him, not really in touch with him, and got more interested in his career path when I saw that he gave an interview in the Huffington Post. And then when we were talking about how can we get actually a speaker that has great value for the students instead of bringing someone in that is already in the real world for 40 years. He graduated in 2014 with a Bachelor of Master of Science in Information Systems at the Technical University of Munich, got an honors degree in Technology Management at the Center for Digital Technology and Management. And while he was a student, he already worked for IT consulting firms, interned for some suppliers that worked with BMW, worked in Beijing on some project management as an intern with Siemens. And actually right now where he is, it's 2:40 a.m. So he got up for this presentation. So I really like it. Unfortunately, didn't work out with the camera that he can see us. However, he will go through his presentation. We'll talk about KONUX. It's a startup company founded in 2014. Like Tim already said, I think introduced as the vice president of finance for the company. And other than that, yeah, let's get started. And at the end, we'll have some questions and answers. Thank you. It's all you, Max.
Nice. So I hope all you can hear me good. Yeah. Hope so. So yeah, my name is Max. I'm the VP of Finance here at KONUX in Munich, Germany. I will basically start by telling you a little bit about what we do at KONUX. Then just really quick, what my job is at KONUX especially. Then in general, what it's like to work in a startup. My journey so far. Then I will go more into the direction of what Ben mentioned, the Huffington Post article, how to maintain your balance while working a lot, also doing a lot of sports, and I know all the other fun parts of your life. Then the mistakes we made along our way at KONUX, and then some learnings that will probably also help you once you start your professional career. So let's start by introducing what we do here at KONUX. So basically what we do, we are trying to digitalize old industrial industries and bring the Internet of Things and predictive maintenance to them. So the big problem right now is that on the one hand, they have very high maintenance costs. So what they are doing, for example, in railway industry, to maintain some assets in the rail network, they're sending out manual inspection teams, which is a very costly thing to do in the 21st century. So we try to kind of, this is one of the problems, that there right now a very high maintenance cost. And yeah, that's what we are trying to solve. On the other hand, there are very high capital expenditures related to the old fashioned style of maintenance that is done. I mean, assets are basically replaced too frequently because we are looking at some preventive maintenance instead of predicting when things are really going to fail, and that increases the CapEx expenses, and they're higher than they actually should be. And the third thing that is not working really well is the production capacity is just lower than it should be. In terms of that, we still have a lot of unforeseen malfunctions that cause, for example, stopped production, and that results in huge lost revenue, which we want to solve. So we developed a solution, hardware and software combination, that allows us to predict when assets will fail, basically, and allows us to bring these companies into the 21st century. We can basically save up to 30% in maintenance costs with our solution. So basically what we do is we enable our customers to monitor their assets continuously via, on the one hand, retrofittable sensors that they can install in their assets, like, for example, pumps or rail switches, but also by using existing data, sensor data that is not used in a meaningful way right now. Well, secondly, we help them lower these capital expenditures because our customers ideally will then only replace their assets with really necessary to, and we will eventually have also high production capacity because there will be a lot less unforeseen or foreseen downtime because the maintenance cycles are optimized. So our solution looks like this. We basically have a end-to-end solution which starts at the asset itself. So, for example, we are in the railway infrastructure industry right now. We are having a pilot project with the Deutsche Bahn, the German railway industry, German railway provider. And we also already developed an MVP for pumps and for machine tools. And what we do there is we put sensors on the assets and have them transmit data, like vibration and acceleration data, to our cloud platform where we reprocess the structured data. And then we will use some algorithms that we have developed based on artificial intelligence and machine learning to predict when these assets are going to fail. So if we take a look at what, for example, that means for Deutsche Bahn, in Deutsche Bahn, what we do is we put a sensor on the rail switch, because the rail switch is the most expensive asset in the rail network right now. And for Deutsche Bahn, for example, it's really a big problem are the delay minutes, because delay minutes are really costly. And we want to save a lot of money by, for Deutsche Bahn, by installing these sensors at all 70,000 switches in Germany. And we're currently negotiating a initial rollout to the most critical switches, and our sensors are already deployed at some field test locations where we can basically prove that our solution, for example, can endure winters, stress, and we already managed to successfully show them that we can basically handle everything that summer is throwing at our sensors. And in the case, for example, here you can see that we could potentially save 13K per switch per year, which means in the end, if Deutsche Bahn installed our solution with all sensor switches in the network, it could potentially save them 914 million euros. Which is, of course, I mean, this is a very basic calculation and it's not 100% accurate, but it gives you a really good picture of what we potentially can do. So this is our hardware piece that we're using right now. It's a retrofittable sensor. What we did is we developed a sensor, or this system basically from scratch. What we did is we put some very affordable, low-cost MEMS sensors in there that can measure the vibration of the switch when a train is passing by. We integrated some wireless communication source that can transmit the data via GSM. And we integrated a battery so that we would not have to tap into existing power supply because that would make the whole application a lot more safety critical in the railway industry. And this sensor can potentially also be used for other industries. Like, for example, we already adapted it to fit onto pumps, which are a very expensive asset as well, and you can measure a lot of like vibration there and generate a lot of value out of the vibration data. And once these sensors then pick up vibration on the asset, we basically analyze the stuff in like the data in the cloud. We call it our KONUX Andromeda platform. This is what you can see here, a screenshot of an early version of the cloud platform. We are currently redesigning the whole platform. And it's basically a vibration profile of a train passing over a switch. And what you can see here, for example, we already can see the different axles of the train, and potentially we will be able, or eventually we will be able to analyze exactly what this vibration profile means in terms of if there are some changes compared to, I don't know, 2 or 3 trains before, we will be able to say, okay, the switch probably has some minor issues and you should send out a service crew, and we can also start predicting when is the switch really going to need service. But as I already said, like railway infrastructure, that's one industry where we are already like having like a very big reference customer. But we're already doing projects in machine tools, industrial pumps, and we're also talking parallel to elevator companies and industrial rollers, because in the end, all these industries are not very digitalized in a way, so they can all profit a lot from our solution. And yeah, it's really exciting to see how we are progressing there. But we will definitely like focus on getting Deutsche Bahn into a very big rollout before our next financing round first. And yeah, here a little bit more information about what we actually did there. We have for the switches where we installed our sensors, we have to reduce the maintenance cost by 25%. And that of course also resulted into lower investment in assets, and then eventually also increase the capacity, because like Deutsche Bahn was able to tell exactly like what the status of the switch was, and they did not have to send out any more maintenance crews that would manually install some measurement apparatus and then wait for trains to pass by, take notes, and deconstruct the whole thing and take it back to, or take it to the next switch. And they could just look at our sensor data that we were generating out of their office. And yeah, all this was basically possible because we are venture funded. So that means we raised our first round of financing in April 2015. We raised 2 million there, which we mostly, I think 2 million out of these 2 million, probably 500K were invested very well. And the rest were just a lot of very expensive failures in a way. But I think it's always the case in the start that you kind of make a lot of failures on the way. But the financing round, at least itself, was very successful. I mean, we were able to close Michael Baum as an investor who founded Splunk. It's a $1 billion company, and it's publicly traded. It's a data analysis company. And we managed somehow to get Andy from Bechtelheim on board. He is not only the founder of Arista Networks, as you can see in the slide, but he also was the founder of Sun Microsystems and the first investor in Google. So he's one of the richest people on the planet, and just a fantastic and super interesting, super smart individual that has helped us a lot along the way. Apart from that, for example, also Lothar Stein invested. He used to work for McKinsey, built up or helped to build up the America presence of McKinsey, and is now enjoying his hard-earned money by going to the Burning Man and everything. So really fun guy. For the Series A, then we raised 7.5 million and managed to get again Andy to increase the stake in the company. And also Michael, for example, Lothar, they all invested again. On the other hand, we managed to get some new investors on board, like NEA, which is a very big fund in the Silicon Valley. They have now, I think, $18 billion under management and invested out of a $3 billion fund. So they are a huge VC. And also among, I think, the top VCs in the Industry 4.0 space, which is a huge value add for our company, and can help us to basically enter the US market then. And on the other hand, we managed to build some German investors like the big funds and the Unternehmer, which can help us a lot in Germany with respect to their network to SMEs in Germany, and also like these old big companies like BMW and the Deutsche Bahn, for example. And also Warren Weiss contributed. He's part of Foundation Capital. It's also a very big fund in the US. So we somehow got very lucky and were able to close this Series A with really high profile investors, which helped us a lot in Germany to gain a lot of attention also in the press and to help us develop our product further than with the network that they provided. And we will probably run out of money then in Q1 2018. So right now it's planned to raise the Series B in the beginning of 2018. We don't know yet how big it will be, but we're estimating that we will probably raise something from like 15 to 20 million. But I think we will see then how also Deutsche Bahn and all the other products develop and how fast we are able to scale. And apart from that, apart from all the fundraising that we did, we won some interesting prizes. But well, I'm not 100% sure if that's a good thing, because someone once told me that actually winning a lot of prizes, there's a high correlation between the startups that win a lot of prizes and startups that fail. So I hope that we are kind of not following the same path, because we are ramping up a lot of prizes right now, because somehow the startup industry is totally hip in Germany, and every big company has to introduce their own prize and give it to us. So kind of interesting dynamics right now in Germany, because everyone wants to do something with startups. So that's it about KONUX. Now let me tell what I do at KONUX, and that's also not that easy in a way, because it's not really clear cut. I mean, on the one hand, I'm doing finance, but I'm really doing a lot more. So I also have to kind of educate all the engineers here on how to use the dishwasher. I have to clean the offices that look shitty, because sometimes no one else does, and everyone has to kind of do his part here. But mainly, I'm doing basically financial planning. So together with all the other team leads, we're forecasting our revenues. We try to do the budgeting process diligently. So basically, all the financial planning, financial forecasting, so that we know how long are we going to reach with the money, and when do we need to raise the money. Then on the other hand is these daily accounting stuff and controlling. So I mean, we have of course outsourced accounting to an external firm, because it does not make any sense for a startup to do everything in-house. So bookkeeping in-house is something that would be the worst thing you could do, because it's a lot of work and you can do a lot of stuff in the wrong way. So always outsource accounting, but you still need someone in the company to kind of be the interface and do all the kind of check on the accountants, check that they're doing their job right, and also then analyze the financial performance of the company and see where did we spend more money than we were planning on doing, and what are the areas where we can improve from a financial standpoint. Then something that I was not expecting in the beginning, but turned out to be quite a lot of work, is the legal part of my job. So I don't have a degree in law or something, but somehow it turns out that finance and legal, especially in startups with all the financing rounds and stuff, legal is a huge part of my job. So I somehow managed to acquire basic know-how in corporate law, and there are also a lot of labor law and related topics, because in Germany, labor law is a huge pain. I mean, we do not have at will employment contracts, for example, but every employment contract in Germany is for an unlimited period of time. So if you want to get rid of people, it's super hard. And there are thousands of other rules that somehow no one knows of, it seems, but they can always get you into a lot of trouble. And then there are also some compliance related topics starting slowly to emerge. Like, for example, I mean, we're 35 people here now at KONUX, and we are getting at a point where we at least have to establish some basic processes that allow us to make sure no one is, taking money from the company, is just acting in a manner that could potentially harm the company. Then, I'm part of the management team, if you want to call it that way. So what we are trying to do is we're trying to determine the overall strategy on how to proceed, how to spend our money in a wise way, what products to develop, and that's also some part of my job. And last but not least, I'm helping to build this whole culture that we're doing here, and I'm doing the IT administration. So finance and IT together is also a combination that you probably don't find in big corporations, but I think in startups, like, it's not always that clear cut. But especially like this people ops part is super interesting and super important, because culture in the end beats everything else. If you can establish a good culture in your company, you will never be successful. So I think out of the management team, and we are 5 people in there right now from all different teams, like engineering, sales, growth, our CEO and me. Basically, I think 20% of each of the time of each of us per week is spent on just trying to improve the culture here at KONUX and contributing to it. Because if you have a good company culture, it will help you so much to kind of get a higher performance or better performance from your employees. So that's really a huge part. So these are basically the 5 main topics that I'm taking care of at KONUX. And now I want to tell you a little bit about what it's really like in a startup, to work in a startup from a more holistic point of view, how it feels like. And I think the best way to compare it is to say that working for a startup is like a relationship. So basically, I mean, taking all the, of course you can look at it from other perspectives as well, but I think in the end, it really is a lot like a relationship that you're entering, and you kind of have to follow some of the same rules that you probably follow in relationships. So first of all, it's about finding the right people. So in the end, I think a relationship is pretty hard and pretty important to find the right person. And also in a startup, it's crazy important, and it's really hard. So hiring is one of the hardest things that are present in a startup. We have a lot of challenges, but I think hiring is one of the biggest ones. We were looking for a VP of engineering, and we in the end paid $70,000 for a headhunter to find one for us, because it was the only way. We found the perfect candidate now, but it cost us a lot of money. And also all the other people that we found or that we are still looking for, it's super hard, especially developers. I think in Silicon Valley, it's even harder to find some right now. But even here in Munich, in Germany, finding good software developers, for example, and good people in general is really a big challenge. And also holding on to them, giving them the perfect place to work is also a lot of work itself. Then just as in relationships, I think it's also an emotional roller coaster to work for a startup. Because in the end, there are so many ups and downs, like emotionally, but also just like story-wise, success-wise in your company, that it's really crazy. I mean, for people, I think the amplitude is somewhat different. So you have these people that are kind of like, the amplitude is not that high, and it's like one day it's kind of, yeah, it's nice, it's not that nice, but it's kind of okay. But then there are other people that are really riding an emotional roller coaster, and you always have to take care of them so that they're not totally freaking out. And because for some people at one point in time it's super awesome to work with KONUX, and then the next day they feel like everything is going to break down and are totally demotivated, and it goes up and down all the way, all the time. So that's a huge challenge. You can't tell the people to stop. It's very hard to kind of get them back on track, and to take away all these especially bad emotions that they may have. And also, like, just company-wise, I remember when we were raising our Series A round, and we had so many ups and downs with investors that were interested, and we were super happy. A lot of big names in Silicon Valley, and then like they are telling you, hey, sounds totally interesting what you're doing. We should keep in touch. Send us a little bit more information, and we will go forward. And you're totally happy. And then next day you receive a mail, hey, we looked at your stuff and we're not going to proceed any further, but have fun. So there's a lot of ups and downs, and they can really get to you. And I think in a relationship, it's the same way. It's always a lot of ups and downs that you have to kind of manage. Then in addition to that, it's all about commitment, persistence. So I think, at least in the relationships I've had so far, commitment is a big part. And also kind of go through the kind of more tough times, and not to just give up as soon as it kind of gets harder. There are always some ups and downs. And in startups, it's the same way. So if you're not 100% committed to what you're doing, you will definitely just fail in the face of all the challenges. And you just have to be persistent enough to kind of pull through it. And there's when we were in the US, some of the investors, some of our existing investors told us while we were fundraising, that we should always remember that life's not a sprint, but a marathon. And I think that's super accurate, because in the end, that's what it is. I mean, everyone can be fast, or reasonably fast, at a sprint, and I really like to sprint. But I think looking at life, it's way more important to be the kind of marathon guy, and just know that there will be long streets that require a lot of endurance, and therefore don't give up too easily, and stay committed to the goal you set yourself. Apart from that, I think, and that's kind of the most interesting point, in relationships, or when dating, don't worry too much about competition. So in the end, you can always look at all for example, in my case, I can always look at all the other guys that a girl's dating, or that a girl could potentially date. But in the end, I can't do anything about that. I can just change myself, my behavior, to kind of make myself a better version. And that's what you should do as a startup. You can always find 100 startups that are doing better than you, or doing something similar, and could be competitors. But in the end, at some point, you also have to say, okay, listen, I'm going to focus on what I'm doing. And that's what should be the focus for you, because otherwise it will get insane by all the competition that is out there. Last but not least, I think luck is a big factor. In the end, it's all about timing. I think it's always a sad story of right woman at the wrong time, or wrong woman at the right time. And also in startups, I think timing is a big factor. Timing in terms of in terms of product market, like how ready is the market for your product, but also just in terms of are you lucky enough to find the right people to hire? In my like in the company here right now, I think there are a couple of people that we were super lucky to have here, that we would definitely not know that we could not lose without losing a big part of who we are, a big part of our productivity and of our ability to be successful. So and hiring some of them was just was a lot of luck. I think also in general, people should probably attribute more towards luck than they are always able to admit, because in the end, I mean, of course, a lot of us are putting in a lot of hard work and are very dedicated to stuff, and that's kind of a definite prerequisite to being successful. But in the end, luck is is a far bigger factor than I think any one of us is comfortable admitting. And as soon as I think you realize that, and you realize that, well, you can't, of course, sit back and relax and say, hey, I'm just going to be lucky today. But as soon as you realize that luck is some factor, you, I think, will appreciate also some situations and some lucky coincidence more than you probably did before. And with this, like, luck is a big factor. This is also kind of something that I will use now to explain to you my path and what I've done so far. So let's go through this. I started basically, or I structured this in a way that I always have like 3 pillars that are important for me. And this is like the one column that's work. I always worked part-time. I think since I was 14, I did some kind of work. I started, I don't know, as a newspaper boy, and I worked as a skiing instructor while still in high school, and then I did all these other jobs. So working was always a part of me. Then in addition to that, it was always for me important to at least be somewhat decent in school and then university, and also sports was always important for me. So I would just start a little bit, like even more in the past, which was when I was in high school still, my big dream was to become a soldier and to join the armed forces. So I applied there, and I actually was admitted into officers training in Go in 2008, 2009, and I started officers training. And just like a year before I started officers training, I started playing American football at the Lions. That's also where I know Ben from. And I think looking back, starting American football for me was definitely a lot of luck that I started playing American football, and then I was definitely also very, very lucky to have such a coach there. Because in the end, I think what happened due to American football is that all the stuff that was like all the character traits that I had in me, like my commitment, like my discipline, and my will to be successful in a way. I had it before, but American football and especially the coaches, they really helped me to kind of improve on these character traits and shape them and made them from like a little baseline thing to something that was really like important and really big character traits that I could rely on, and that would help me a lot in my future. So it was like, looking back, I think joining the Lions there was a pretty good move, a pretty smart move, and I was really lucky to go there, to end up at exactly that team in Munich, because we also had 3 other teams in Munich, and definitely was a lucky coincidence. Because of American football, I think I then quit the armed forces, because somehow the American football training was way harder than the armed forces basic training. I was super disappointed. So I quit the armed forces and went back to civil life and started studying. I did not study information systems right away, but I started studying electrical engineering and decided after one semester that this was definitely not the right thing for me to do. So I switched to information systems. And exactly at that semester, when I started information systems, another guy started information systems. That was Andreas, who is now our CEO at KONUX. So I think that's the next lucky coincidence that basically, I started my bachelor exactly at the same time Andreas did, and I got to know him. And now we're basically working together. There's a huge friendship between us, but also a very good professional relationship because we're both here at KONUX building this company. But then the next lucky coincidence basically was that I started working at Magneti Marelli as a resident engineer part-time in parallel to my bachelor's. And just 3 months after I started, someone else joined me at Magneti Marelli. It was just coincidence, and that was Andreas again. Like we hadn't talked to each other that we would start the job there, but we still ended up in the same company, which again was a very lucky coincidence because after working together for 2 years at Magneti Marelli in parallel to our studies, we knew each other pretty well and we knew how we perform. We knew, like Andreas knew my attitude towards work, and that was probably also a big part why he then asked me to join KONUX. So then after graduating with my bachelor's degree, I went on to Beijing to work for Siemens for 4 months in project management. And I think also the whole story, for example, how I got to Beijing was a pretty lucky one in the end, because the whole visa system was changed just 2 months before I wanted to go to China. So my first request for a visa was denied, and just by a lot of lucky coincidences, I was able to kind of get the visa and go to China. And just because I went to China and did the internship, I was then admitted not only to information systems, to my master, but I was also admitted into technology management, which I did in parallel, which is an honors degree by the 2 Munich universities, which requires you to have spent some time abroad. And so I was pretty lucky that I got the visa for Beijing, because only based on that I could apply, and then I was admitted to technology management. And now that I was admitted to technology management, Andreas, who had then founded KONUX already, he asked me, "Hey, you want to join us, build this company?" And I said, "Yeah, sure. Why not?" And I started working for KONUX while finishing my technology management degree. And eventually I dropped out of information systems, actually just a couple of months ago, because what I just realized was at some point, in the beginning I was just working a little bit for KONUX and I was studying a lot. And it's over time, I think the scale just shifted a little bit in favor of KONUX. And at some point I realized, okay, I'm putting in basically 110% of my time to work for KONUX. So it doesn't make any sense to finish my degree in information systems. And I dropped out because I would rather focus 100% on one thing than doing 2 things at once and sucking in both of them. And then, in parallel, for me, always important, it was after I quit American football, I continued weightlifting. I did a lot of weightlifting, basically at the gym every day. And now, since a couple of months, I'm doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and it's I think it's the second best sport in the world after American football. And also there, I was totally lucky because right around the corner of our office, there is the Pound for Pound gym, which is owned by Sergio Canuto Zimmerman, who is a world champion in BJJ, and I think one of the best competitive BJJ practitioners in the world right now. So pretty lucky coincidence there as well. So as you can see, basically, my life has been so far, I think, subject to a lot of lucky coincidences, starting with the most important one, that I started playing American football exactly at the right team with exactly the right coach who somehow succeeded into like shaping me a lot and bringing like out all these very good character traits that I probably like somehow had before, but not in such an exposed and developed manner. And I'm super grateful also to Ben that he like did that for me, that he shaped me in that way. So after like you know a lot about me now, so let's get back to KONUX and what I like most about it. And I think this picture here is already kind of a pretty good summary of it. So I think the face is maybe a bit dark, but what's on there is basically our management team and two really interesting individuals. Let's start with the management team. We have basically like 5 young guys, same age as me. I'm 26 now, and well, one of them is 25, the others are 27, 28, so roughly around the same age. But every one of us, I think, is super determined, and I'm lucky enough that I work with a lot of talented and well, really smart people. But on the other hand, we have some incredible mentors on our board and in our like advisory circle. So like right next to me in the they both have blue shirts, but the one with the black hair, the brown hair, that's Søren Hein. He's the VP of Infineon. He was the VP of technology at Infineon, and he's a very smart guy. He also like founded some venture funds. He also founded companies, and overall just not only a tech guy because he has a tech background, a tech degree, but he's also a very smart businessman and a very good advisor. And on the other hand, we have the well, pretty normal looking guy, I would say, with gray hair, and that's Andy from Bechtolsheim, and this guy is just amazing. I mean, I met him 2 times so far. One time he was in our office for a quick meeting while he was in Germany for some other work-related stuff, and then I met him a couple of times while I was in the US, because we were in the US for 2 months in 2015 for a fundraising roadshow, and he allowed us to stay at one of his houses, which was a really nice thing to do. And the person itself is just amazing. I mean, Andy, he founded Arista Networks, he founded Sun Microsystems, he founded 3 other companies. I mean, he took Sun Microsystems and Arista Networks public. He was the first investor in Google, which makes him probably the smartest man on the planet. And just overall, I think he has invested in over 100 different startups. Most of them have gone public or have been acquired. So this guy is just, I think in the Silicon Valley or in this planet, there are probably 10 people that can somehow compete with his level of skill in terms of startup know-how and business know-how. And at the same time, he's super humble. He would not spend a dime on crazy expensive things that some billionaires do. And it's just overall, I think, a very fascinating person. But yeah, apart from, I think, these fascinating people, there are also pretty nice people in my company. So let me share a couple of pictures with you. So this is my company. We do a lot of fun things too. We're of course playing soccer, but since I like American football, we're playing bubble soccer, which is something really fun because it combines the physical activity of running into each other with soccer and all the other fun activities like eating together, playing computer games or running. And well, that That being said, I basically just want to go through a couple more like quick slides to show you like the most important learnings of what we've done at KONUX so far. I would say we should start with done is better than perfect. So basically what we learned, the less is 80-20 rule, it's been around for ages now, and you should really stick to it. So that is better than perfect. Don't always wait until you have the perfect thing to present, because in the end, well, time is a scarce resource, and it's better to show something that is imperfect but is working than to never show anything because you're running out of time. Then, very important lesson, you should really get, like you should have this get stuff done mentality. I was not sure how open you were towards family, so I put the asterisks in there. So yeah, I'm a guy who swears a lot, but getting stuff done is very important. It's not about how much time you basically spend, because I don't care if someone spends 10 hours, 16 hours, or 2 minutes at the office or working on something. If in the end the output is fine, I would take the 10-minute performance any day over someone spending 16 hours in the office and not producing any valuable output. And that's also the mentality we have here at KONUX. People are very free to come and go when they want, as long as their output is high enough. We are working very hypothesis driven. I mean, there's this nice book, The Lean Startup. Probably a lot of people you have heard about that. Very famous book. You should definitely read it. And it basically just says that assuming assumptions and thinking is nice, but really testing something and then knowing something and working hypothesis driven is the way to go. Then, if you don't know how something works, how to do something, go find someone who does. I mean, nothing that we're doing here, except for some maybe 2% of our work, nothing has not been done before by anyone else on the planet. And chances are you either know someone out of your network that can help you, or you know how to use Google, and Google will tell you the answer. I think at least in the business part, the answer to most of the questions is on Google. So just spend a little bit of time Googling the problem, and you will probably find the solution on there anyways. And if you don't, then you can start asking other people for advice. And a very important rule, if you have scarce resources, good artists copy and great artists steal. I mean, that's something Picasso said, and Steve Jobs stole it from Picasso, and we stole this from Picasso and Jobs. We're just taking a lot of stuff that's out there already, and we make it ours. I mean, look at our website. It's basically, if you look around in Silicon Valley at a lot of high-value company, you will find one company that's also doing some big data analysis, and their website is pretty much exactly the same than ours, because we really liked it. So just copy a lot, because you don't have to reinvent the wheel. If you do something, always be customer focused. So basically, don't just sit somewhere in an office and develop something that no one likes and no one will be using, because it's super, well, it's not focused on customer needs and what the customer wants, but do everything that they want to buy your product. That means also involving the customer early on. Think big, think bigger. So in the end, I don't know if KONUX is going to fail horribly, or if it's really going to be a super successful company. But in the end, you have to think big, because, well, if you always think small, you will never achieve the really big things in life. So it really takes vision to build a big company. And whatever you do, you know, sometimes you win and sometimes you learn. I mean, we failed countless times. And I think as long as you learn out of failures, there's nothing wrong with it. Because in the end, next time you will do better. So either you win or you learn, but both is fine, except especially at a young age. And the most important thing is that you should always have fun. I mean, in the end, having fun is something that is super important. And at KONUX, we're having a lot of fun. So yeah, never forget that aspect. And that's also how I want to conclude this presentation. I had to skip over a lot of slides because it took me way longer than I anticipated it would. But I still think I got a lot of messages across that I wanted to, or insights across that I wanted to share with you. And if anyone is interested in, for example, doing an internship or also joining us as a full-time employee, just write me a mail, or if you have any other questions, you can always shoot me a mail. I'm really responsive most of the time. Sometimes I'm sleeping, not often though. And yeah, so thanks a lot for your attention. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask me now.
Perfect. I think Max, you can hear me right now? Definitely an interesting experience to have that online. I think it's extremely challenging for him to know whether we realize that we get what he's talking about or not. I think we make you talk a little bit longer sometimes. Anyways, does anyone in here have questions right now? All right, Sascha.
Servus Maximilian. Ich sollte auf meinen Dozenten ja eine Frage auf Deutsch stellen. Das ist schon eine Frage, wie handelst du persönlich den Druck? In English, I just ask him, how is he managing the pressure in the first years? Because in startup companies, the first 5 years are the most important and most critical ones.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very good question. I had to skip over that slide because I wanted to show the insights with you instead. But I can just show it here really quick. I have a very, for me, the key was to find the right balance between work and all the other stuff. So for me, it's basically, I have to do some sports. I have to read, I'm meditating. I'm also taking the time I need to relax and time to sleep. I think it's in the end, it's really good if you know your body and you have to listen to your body in a way. There will be times where you I think for me it was like that in the beginning. I felt I was working all the time, and at some point I realized I can't go on like that forever because otherwise I will be burned out at the age of 30. So I started to again do even more sports. I started to get into meditation, for example, and now I'm doing this mindfulness practice every day. And in the end, it's really about you have to find out what kind of triggers you need in your life to find the balance between stress, like work stress, and all the other parts of your life. You should just never put your focus on just one aspect and neglect all the others, because in the end, I think that's a big mistake, and at some point it will come back to haunt you.
Anyone else? Any questions? No. I have maybe just one question I thought would be interesting. Once you came up with the idea, how did you get in touch with these big timers that have so much money to fund you guys?
That's a good question. That was also due to luck, actually. In the beginning, Andreas, our CEO, he ran into Andy Bechtelsheim at a birthday party. And that's how it all started. Andy didn't give us money at first, but some other investors. But he introduced us to a lot. And then it all was also through our network, through all the other people we knew. Because in the end, it doesn't work that you send your pitch deck to a VC and you hope people respond. You always need a warm introduction. You always need someone that investors know to kind of vouch for you and tell them, hey, you should look at this startup, at these guys. They're doing some great things, and then they need money. It doesn't work if you just go on their website and submit a pitch deck online, because there are thousands of others doing that every day. So it's all about the network, knowing the right people, I would say.
All right, cool. Thank you. I guess I can just thank you and say thank you in the name of all of us. It was definitely an experience to have this online. If any one of you has questions or want his contact information, we can forward them to you. Max will just log out right now, but thank you very, very much. And I don't know, are you going back to bed or are you going to stay up? Cool. I guess I'm heading back to the president.
Thank you all for coming again. We have some refreshments right outside if you'd like to help yourself. And if you haven't signed in, please do so. There's a sign-in sheet right back there. And have a great night. Thank you for coming.